Ring, ring! The phone jolted Daisy awake. It was 3 a.m. Who could be calling at this hour? She fumbled for the receiver. Daisy, it's me, Jake. Jake was David's climbing partner. His voice was tight with worry. David was missing, lost somewhere on Everest during their summit push. The storm had hit suddenly, a white wall of snow and fury. They got separated. Now, silence. Daisy's heart pounded. David, her older brother, in trouble. She had to get to Everest. Now, no time for fear. Daisy was known for her courage. She'd climbed since she was a kid. David, her guide and mentor, he'd taught her everything. Now she had to use those skills to find him. The clock was ticking. The air buzzed at Everest Base Camp, a sea of tents, colourful prayer flags flapping in the wind. The energy was frantic, a mixture of hope and despair. Daisy felt it too. She showed David's picture, asking everyone, "Have you seen him?" Days blurred into nights. Daisy helped search parties, her hope dwindling with each passing hour. The mountain loomed immense and unforgiving. It held David captive, its icy grip refusing to let go. One evening, a weather-beaten Sherpa approached Daisy. He had kind eyes, etched with years of mountain wisdom. "I saw someone like your brother," he said slowly. "Higher up, near the death zone, above 8,000 meters, where the air is thin and the mountain claims its victims." Fear gnawed at Daisy, but she had to go on for David. The air grew thin, each breath a struggle. Daisy pushed on higher and higher. The world became a blur of white and blue. Glaciers groaned underfoot, a constant reminder of the mountain's power. She wasn't alone. The Sherpa, Tenzin, had volunteered to guide her. His knowledge of the mountain was incredible. He pointed out hidden crevasses, steered her through treacherous ice falls, but doubt gnawed at her. What if they didn't find David? The thought was like a lead weight in her stomach. She pushed it away, focusing on the task at hand, one step at a time, one breath at a time. Section 4. Avalanche! A roar like 1,000 thunders ripped through the silence. Daisy looked up, her blood turning to ice. An avalanche! The white wall of snow came crashing down, a raging torrent of destruction. "Tenzin!" she screamed, but her voice was lost in the roar. Instinct took over. She dove for cover behind a rocky outcrop, the ground trembling beneath her. The world was a maelstrom of white. Then silence. A silence heavier than the roar that preceded it. Daisy emerged, her heart pounding, covered in snow. "Tenzin," she called out, her voice trembling. "Where was he?" Section 5. The kindness of strangers. A gloved hand reached out from the snow. Tenzin. He was buried, but alive. Relief washed over Daisy, so strong it made her weak. Together they dug themselves out, shaken but unharmed. They weren't alone. A group of climbers, their faces etched with concern, rushed over. They had witnessed the near-death experience. One of them, a doctor, checked Tenzin and Daisy. "You're lucky," he said, shaking his head. "Very lucky." The climbers shared their food and supplies, a gesture of solidarity in the face of Everest's fury. Despite the danger they had just faced, Daisy felt a surge of gratitude. Even in this harsh environment, humanity endured. Section 6, Don't Look Down. The final push to Camp 4 was the most grueling yet. The air was razor-thin, each step an excruciating effort. Daisy felt lightheaded, her vision blurring at the edges. But she couldn't give up. Not now. "Don't look down," Tenzin advised, his voice calm despite the altitude. "Just focus on the next step. You're doing great." He pointed to a cluster of brightly colored tents perched precariously on a ridge. Camp 4, the final stop before the summit. As they stumbled into camp, a wave of exhaustion washed over Daisy. She collapsed onto the snow, gasping for breath. She had never felt so physically and mentally drained, but she was here, one step closer to finding David. Section 7, False Summit, Real Despair. The climb from Camp 4 to the summit was a blur. Daisy moved like an automaton, fueled by adrenaline and sheer willpower. She barely registered the biting wind, the bone-chilling cold. Her only focus was the summit. They reached what they thought was the top, but Tenzin shook his head. "False summit," he said, pointing to a ridge in the distance. "The real summit is still further." Despair threatened to engulf Daisy. How much further, how much more could she take? She looked around. The world stretched beneath her, a breathtaking panorama of snow-capped peaks. And then she saw something else, a flash of red, lying crumpled on the snow. Could it be